Hello there. So Tony from Freewell reached out to me and asked if I would like to review a set of Freewell ND filters. So I said, as long as you're happy with an honest review, I'm more than happy to review them. So Freewell sent me a pack, a full set it looks like, of their ND filters. This is the Nd8 pack. It's an ND4, Nd8, 16, CPL, Nd6PL, Nd16PL, that's polarizing, I think, Nd32PL, Nd64PL, and it's for the Mini 2 and the Mini. And this is the, what does that say? I haven't got my reading glasses on. It's the Nd1000, Nd2000 long exposure pack. Ah, okay, that's quite good. I'll have to do a wee bit of research to work out exactly what that is before I go out and field test it. Both 4K series. That's a nice bit of packaging actually, I really like that. It looks, makes me feel like a bit of a professional now. Okay, so I'll unbox the main pack just now and have a wee look and see what they're like. And I am going to go out and test them out in the field for a full review. Excuse me. If I had a pair of scissors here, I'd be able to open them without using my teeth, but I don't. Like I keep saying, I'm just a normal guy. Okay, so there we go. Let's open these up and have a look inside. And they come in a wee box. There's something else there, what's this? Right, so we'll have a look at the bum that I say comes with it. That's a nice wee envelope. Nice wee pouch. Very professional looking. There's a lot of stuff in here. Okay, so in here in the pouch, which is really nice little envelope, you have your Freewell stickers, video tutorials as well, excellent. So I can go there straight away and have a look and see what the long exposure pack's all about. So that's good, I can just scan that in and it will take me to a video tutorial, very handy. Same with looking it up, good. And this one is a lifetime warranty. Lifetime, excellent. Right. Okay, the filter guide, which I will have to read through this because I really don't, I'm not familiar with filters. I've got a grasp of the basic concept, but this was quite handy. It's got a full explanation of each of the filters here, ND4, and then a little paragraph, I presume, telling you exactly what the ND4 is all about, etc. So there you go, bright day, standard day. This is a really well put together little booklet, long exposure, landscape, light pollution. It's asking if you can write a product review to help other customers. I'll probably do that too. If I like them, if I find them useful. But that's a really good wee filter guide, I like that. That's obviously a cloth to keep them clean. So here are the filters. This is a wee case. Let's see how you open this. Knowing me, they'll just go flying all over the floor. Oh, there we go. Lovely. That's really nice. Nice colouring. That's purple. That's my wife's favourite colour. So she'll look at them and think, ooh, new earrings. Aye, so they look good. I'm not going to touch them just now, but that looks pretty good. So I'm going to take them out and do a field test, and I'll probably go to Lochdown again, and I can test the polarising part of them over the water. And it's got a nice clear wide open sky there to test the rest, and then you'll see in a minute how I get on with that. So I'm out here now to test the Freewell ND filters, and when it comes to adding gear to your equipment list, for me there's only two things that are important. One, how easy is it to use, and two, is it going to improve what I'm doing? So the first thing here are the Freewell
ND filters easy to use? Well, we can break that down into two parts. How easy are they to fit to the drone camera? And two, how do you know which one to select? Well, there's a nice little guide included with Freewell ND filters that tell you on a particular day how sunny and how bright it is, what filter that they recommend you use. But you're going to have to make a judgment on how bright it is. So it's a good place to start, the guide that they give you. But you may have to change out filter on either side of that one, because you may have judged how bright it is wrong. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to send the drone up on auto settings with no filter and just film a few seconds of the scenery here, including the water. And then I'm going to put on the recommended filter, the one that's recommended in the guide by Freewell, and fly along exactly the same path and see what difference there is. And then I'll use the polarizing filter and fly along and see what happens. And I'll probably put on the filter before the recommended one and the filter after the recommended one, so we can see what kind of difference there is. So let's send the drone up with no filters on automatic settings. Okay, so this time let's fit the recommended filter that the Freewell guide says we should be using on a day like this where it's cloudy but still bright. Now the guide would recommend an Nd8 on a day like this. So we're going to put the Nd8 on, and this isn't a tutorial video, but I'm going to show you how to put the filter on, because that is one of the points that you need to know. How easy is it to put the filter on? So the first thing to do is turn the drone off so that the gimbal's not fighting against you. And then there are these two little hooks on the filter, and they slot into the outside edges of the vents on the drone. And once you've hooked them on there, you just slip it down and press it on. So it's quite easy to fit and it feels secure. So this is the Nd8 filter on a cloudy day, which is still fairly bright. So let's have a look at the same footage and see what the difference is. And this time I'm going to flick to manual settings and a shutter speed of 1/50, because I'm running at 24 frames per second, and that keeps us within the 180-degree rule. So let's see if there's any difference here.
The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
So the same flight, out to the river. And then along to the bridge. Now the histogram here would indicate to me that the 8 might not be strong enough. So what we'll do is we'll switch to 16 and see if that makes a difference. So here we have an ND16 and we're going to follow exactly the same path. Out to the river. And along to the bridge. And looking at the histogram, it seems to me that the 16 looks like the best choice here. So you do have to use a little bit of judgment, but the guide that Freewell include is a great place to start. So let's put a polarizing filter on. We know that a 16 filter is the best. So let's put a polarizing 16 filter on and have a look at the water. So the polarizing filter has a ring, and I think that the best way to judge this, where the ring should be set, is to point it at the water and turn the ring until you find the point where the glare from the water has disappeared. So I think I've got it there. Let's take off. And we'll follow the same flight, but this time I'm going to turn the gimbal down a little bit and focus a bit more on the water. but I'm going to fly exactly the same path. Now, the histogram here is saying that it's far too dark. So what I'll do is I'll try an Nd8 with a polarizer and see what difference that makes. So now we have an Nd8 with a polarizing filter. Now this one looks awful bright, but let's send her up and see what she looks like. And so again, I'll have the gimbal pointed down a little bit of the water this time. And the histogram is quite far to the right. So between 8 and 16 is the way to go, and it all depends on what you can do in post. So there we go, an Nd8, an Nd16 and an Nd8PL and Nd16PL all tested there. It's not bright enough to put the 64 on, or the 32, and it's not dull enough for the 4. So there we go, a test with the Nd8 filter from Freewell, the Nd16 filter from Freewell, the Nd8 polarizing filter and the Nd16 polarizing filter. What are my conclusions and what do I think? So the Freewell ND Filters all day pack. Do they make a difference to your footage? Well, when you take a first quick look, you might think there's not a huge difference. But if you take a closer look, you'll see that there's a lot more room to manoeuvre when you come to post. You'll be able to colour correct and expose correct a lot more than you can without the filters. Without using a filter and letting it run on auto settings, you're taken to the very, very edge of the sky being overblown, and in some cases it even is slightly overblown. There's no room to manoeuvre there. With the ND filters you can. Even without having doing any post and just taking the footage direct from the drone with the filters, without the filters, in my opinion, it does look slightly better if you're using the right filter. once you've had a bit more experience and practice using the filters, I think your footage is going to increase. Certainly mine is going to improve even more by getting to know the filters and getting to know exactly how to use them. The other thing I consider is how easy are they to use. Well, they're very easy to use. You can look at the guide to give you an idea where to start, which filter to choose to start with. But if that's not the right one because it's too bright, then you put a darker one on. If that one's a bit too dark, then you just put a lighter one on. So it's a bit of trial and error, but you'll get to know that as you go, and you'll be able to look at the day and think, right, that's an ND16 day, or that's an ND32 day. And I think after a while you'll get to know straight away which one to use without having to refer to the guide. The other thing is about fitting them and how sturdy are they. I have to say that I bought a rival brand about 3 months ago. They were cheaper, quite a bit cheaper. And I thought, a filter's a filter, I'll just buy those and save myself a bit of money. But they've stayed in this pack for quite a while now. For 3 months actually, and I've only used them once on one day. And the reason I haven't used them more is because they're quite flimsy. Once they're on, they're quite tricky to get on, and once they're on, you're not sure if they're going to stay on, because when I took the drone up, there was a bit of gimbal shake a few of the times, and I had to bring the drone back down and fiddle about till they were more secure. And then when it went back up, I had a little bit of silhouetting, so I was never really happy with them, and put them back in the bag and they've stayed there for 3 months. Well, I've used these Freewell filters a few times now, and every time they fit on straight away. They're very sturdy, really easy to fit. They snap on. Once they're on, you're confident they're going to stay on, and I've never had any gimbal shake or any silhouetting. Once they're on, and that's it. So yeah, easy to use, and that's a good feature. It's a lovely wee tin made out of metal, right? And that's a great thing to have if you're carrying about you. The rival brand that I bought is a wee plastic one. It's thicker, it's just no as nice at all. So that's a good thing as well. And it's a really nice colour inside. My wife just goes daft for the colouring in here. They do look really good. So would I recommend Freewell ND filters? This is the all day pack. And I think if you're going to buy filters, and if you want to improve your footage and make it look more cinematic and just look nicer, then you should buy ND filters and you should use them. If you're going to buy any, I would recommend the Freewell filters to another brand, because they're sturdy, they stay on, and they do what you want them to do. I haven't tested out the long exposure ones yet, but I have put them on the gimbal, and they fit exactly the same as these, so I know that they're going to be fine too. I think they're more for either photography, for getting, maybe slowing down waterfalls, taking a long exposure shot, or maybe for doing time lapse in the evening. So maybe a while before I try that out, but as far as fitting on, they're exactly the same as the all day pack, so they're going to work just as well. You just have to learn how to use them too. So the Freewell all day ND filters, would I recommend them? Yes, I would. These are Freewell all day filters, and I like them.